When the ARCA Racing Series makes its annual stop at its home track in Toledo, all eyes go to 10-time champion Frank Kimmel. And rightly so, because he's won here 9 times. Recently, though, it's been another veteran that has found success at this half mile. Ken Schrader has 5 wins here and is the defending race winner. But today, both veterans will be chasing a 19-year-old in Mason Mitchell. Yesterday, he qualified and broke the track record here at Toledo and has his sights set on his first Toledo win.
How long do you take
The
it?
ARCA Racing Series prepares for the 2014 season. Green flag in the air, we're underway. Spinning coming out of turn number 4. The man who has been on a roll has been Grant Infinger. 3 wins to start off the 2014 season. He'll try to make the pass. It's going to be 3 wide as they come to the stripe. Coming into the tri-oval. The checkered flag will fly. Tom Hessert wins at Talladega. 77 to Tom Hessert led the most important lap, the last one. Welcome to the Toledo Speedway as we get ready for the Menards 200 in this half-mile short track. A picture-perfect day here in Toledo, Ohio. 64 degrees, a slight breeze, and the forecast is for sunny skies. As we take a look at our clipboard for things that we need to keep our eye on today, the ARCA Racing Series has really built itself around youth versus experience, and that's no more prevalent than today with the field we have. And speaking of the field, it's going to be shooken up because you have Frank Kimmel starting back in the 16th position. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons with you once again. I mentioned youth versus experience. No more evident than right here in the ARCA Racing Series. We've got a 15-year-old that's going to start this race, as well as a driver that's almost 60 that's defending his win from a year ago in Kenny Schrader. So who wins out with youth versus experience?
Well, you look at, you mentioned the fact that Frank Kimmel has 9 wins here, Kenny Schrader 5 wins. Those guys have the experience. This is the 73rd time we've run at this racetrack. This is an abrasive racetrack. These veterans know how to run this racetrack. But you've got the guys up front here, the youngsters, and good equipment. As a matter of fact, it's not unprecedented to see a young guy win here. Chris Buescher won 4 out of 5 races here in a row as a teenager, so it can happen. But I think right now we want to keep our eye on Frank Kimmel. We want to keep our eye on Kenny Schrader. And don't forget Grant Infinger, too. He's starting up front, and he's got a lot of experience here as well.
We're going to keep our eye on Frank Kimmel, but he's starting in 16th. How does he get to the front?
I went down and talked to his crew chief, Jamie Jones, right before we came up here, and he said, mostly we're going to rely on Frank to get us to the front. He said, we're not going to do any crazy pitch strategy. We're going to put our 2 tires on, then we're going to put our 4 tires on later. They have 6 tires in the pits, so right now they're going to rely on Frank Kimmel and his experience to make his way to the front.
All right, youth versus experience, one of the big stories. For more on that, let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Thank you, Rick. You know, it was 20 years ago this weekend. I was able to be in Victory Lane here to interview a young driver that people said had a lot of promise. That was Frank Kimmel. Well, guess what? Now he has 80 wins here in the ARCA Series, and he's a 10-time champion. But when I look right beside him, you look at this number 66 Venturini Motorsports car. They've got J.J. Haley driving that, a 15-year-old driver. So it's going to be interesting as we look at that youth versus experience. Of course, Kimmel with a lot of experience, Schrader, a 17-time winner, and Kyle Benjamin, a young driver making his name in this series, and a driver making his first start. He'll be the youngest ever here in ARCA, so it should be fun to watch a very diverse group of drivers tackle this half mile.
And Ray, Ray, on this grid, there are 6 drivers, 5 drivers that have finished as high as 2nd but have yet to win here in the ARCA Racing Series. Among them, young drivers that average age out to 20 years of age. One of the drivers we want to focus on is Justin Boston, starting 3rd here today. His 2nd place finish came at Madison, Wisconsin last fall. He said he has the car to beat. He's been fast this season without the results, but Justin Boston, among that handful of young drivers hungry for the victory, who told me, quote, I'm going to hunt, stalk, and pounce. I'd spin my own mother if I had to win the race and spin around off of turn 4 for the victory. These young drivers are hungry. There's a handful looking for their first victory here at Toledo.
And obviously you're going to have to get by veterans, though. With Ken Schrader, as much experience as he has here, as well as Frank Kimmel, those 2 have got to be the favorites, but we do have some fast cars up in front of them.
We really do. We've seen these young guys run real fast about everywhere we've gone, from the big tracks to the little tracks, and it would not surprise me to see a young guy get to victory lane here. And we've got several that want to get their first win, and they may do it here.
Youth has been able to find the pole, but can they find victory lane? Let's go trackside for our command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, here to give the command for this afternoon's 73rd running of the Menards 200 presented by Federated Car Care, General Manager of Menards, Mr. Ron Wright.
Drivers, start your engines.
Cars are fired up, and the sold-out crowd here at Toledo also fired up. We'll see the green flag next on Fox Sports 1. Welcome back. As Phil mentioned earlier, the 73rd running of the ARCA Toledo race. It's the Menards 200 from Toledo Speedway. The guy who was able to get out front and capture the Menards Pole Award presented by Ansel. Driver of the 98, Mason Mitchell, that 19-year-old, was able to set a new track record in qualifying yesterday.
1/4 of a second faster than the second fastest car.
So he's got a very fast car for 1 lap, but can he continue to make that happen for 200 laps? And that's what's in front of us. We're also going to ride along with a few different cars today. Phil, take us through one.
Yeah, let's ride along with Spencer Gallagher in the Legion Air Chevy. He has top 7 finishes his last 3 starts, and he will start this race from 11th.
Another car carrying our onboard camera will be the driver, 18-year-old driver, Cody Coughlin. He'll have 12 ARCA races that he will be starting this year. Has a career best finish at Salem of 9th this year.
We're also going to ride along in the Zloop Toyota, the 25 of Justin Boston. As Jim mentioned earlier, a lot of tough luck this year. He's had a fast car. He was 3rd in points last year, and he will start this race from the 3rd spot.
We're riding along with him and want to take a look at our Scott Rookie Spotlight. The driver of the 55, that is Cody Coughlin. As I mentioned, 12 ARCA races on his schedule for this year. Comes from a drag racing family. He's the first one to make left turns in the family. He's just 18 years old, so very impressive already for this young man.
And I actually go back long enough at this very racetrack to watch when Jeg sponsored a guy named Don Gregory in late models here. So they actually started way back when in late models.
All right, before the green flag flies, let's go back to pit road. Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. Have you ever tried to put a square peg in a round hole? Sometimes it won't fit. And our first 7 pit stalls here have excellent race cars in them. The problem is when you get around here, how tough is it to get your car into the stall? Well, it's very tough. It's an 18-foot stall, and these cars are 17 feet long. You don't have much extra room. And a lot of the guys will come in here and they try to get into their spot. You won't necessarily be perfectly square. You want to set yourself up to be able to get off the end of pit road. And I'm telling you, there may be some people with hurt feelings before the day is over here at the front of pit road. Jim Trado.
And Ray, I've got the second stall actually for the driver who qualified second. He picked back at pit stall number 24. You may ask why so far back. It's at the dead center apex of turns 1 and 2, but it has an opening in front of it. So Grant Edfinger and his team hope to have the car that won both Mobile and Salem in position when they come down pit road. They get off cleanly to challenge the others as they exit pit road, but he chose dead smack middle of pit road with the key opening ahead of him.
Thanks, Jim. 9 times Frank Kimmel has been able to win this race here at Toledo, but not a good qualifying effort for that team. Starting back in the 16th position, Phil, you touched on it a little bit. He's got a lot of traffic in front of him. How early are you aggressive to try to get to the front?
I think Frank Kimmel knows he doesn't need to be aggressive. He just needs to take his time, let a little bit of attrition take over. We know we're going to have some caution flags here, and the new double foul restarts have been really key here. If you're running 12th, instead of restarting 12th on the outside line, now you're going to restart in the 6th row. So it really has made a big difference here. So there's not as much concern about starting back there as there might have been last year.
The one thing that plays into that, though, is the preferred line at this racetrack is definitely on the bottom of the track as we look at the particulars in our Menards Toyota Speedway track description.
You're exactly right. But this is a very raceable track here. But you see the turn 1 are banking at 12 to 13 degrees. A little bit flatter down in 3 and 4. Both ends of the racetrack are a little bit different. But you definitely want to be on the bottom. But you can move a guy off the bottom and get under him off the corner.
So you're saying the bumper might come into play just a little bit here?
We've been known to see that happen.
We have seen it happen. And then what normally happens is what Ray had touched on is the guys in the pits, they get a little upset about that.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they fight sometimes.
Again, we've got some great pictures that we will be bringing you today. A gorgeous day here in Toledo, Ohio. A great day for racing and a great crowd on hand. Again, a sellout for this race as the field makes their way down the backstretch again, following after the 19-year-old Mason Mitchell as he works the field through turns 3 and 4. This just the 5th race of the 2014 season. They've already been on super speedways and short tracks, and once again it's the home short track. Green flag in the air from Toledo.
Great start by Grant Enfinger. He had to jump initially, but then Mason Mitchell got it back. Grant's going to be able to slide into second here. That's extremely critical.
Justin Boston tucks into the 3rd spot just behind him. Tom Hessert still trying to find a way to get down to the bottom of the track. He has the 10 of Matt Tiff down there.
He's going to rely on Matt Tiff to let him in. Right now they're still side by side at the exit of 2. How about Justin Boston inside of Grant Enfinger?
Battle for the 2nd spot. Justin Boston trying to take that preferred line away. Not able to do it as they rocket down the front stretch again.
I thought we were going to see that bumper you were talking about for a moment.
On lap 2 almost. But out in front it's Mason Mitchell. What a fast car he had in qualifying. He's showing it once again now at the start of this race. Already Mason Mitchell is starting to catch up to the lap traffic.
That young man has not gotten to victory lane, but very, very consistent here. As a matter of fact, he comes in here dating back to last year with 13 top 10 finishes in a row.
Here's Frank Kimmel trying to work around John West Townley. A busy weekend for John West Townley. On Friday night, he was in Charlotte running the Camping World Truck Series race. Now battling with Kimmel for position here at Toledo.
And I think wisely, Frank said, there's no sense racing him, no sense being on the outside and using up my tires. Let me just follow John West. Maybe let him open the doors for me.
And already some of the cars being shown the move over flag from a flag man here, letting him know that the pace that's being set right now by Mason Mitchell is a torrid pace as he puts cars a lap down early.
Yeah, John West was another one of those drivers like Frank Kimmel. Had a good car in practice, but didn't get the qualifying lap that he had hoped. Now he's trying to make his way towards the front, trying to get by that 22 black car, Boston Wayne Self.
Boston Wayne Self running a little bit higher lines. We see some side-by-side racing here. Justin Allison in the 88, just outside of Cody Coughlin in the 55.
Another good group of young drivers there. You see Justin Allison right there, grandson of Donnie Allison. Here's Cody Coughlin from his onboard camera. You can hear him hit the rev limiter there at the end of the straightaway. He's going to have to back off, let Justin get by that lap car. Ooh, a little bit loose for Justin Allison there. A little bit of a wiggle.
And amazing to listen to Cody Coughlin there through the turn. How much he's just feathering this throttle as he gets tucked in behind that 52 of Ken Schrader.
You can do no better than to follow that 52 car of Kenny Schrader. He knows how to manage his equipment. He knows how to get to the front, and he knows how to win races here.
Ken Schrader biding his time as we are early into this one. Toledo, the Menards 200 underway. Mason Mitchell is out front. Welcome back to Toledo Speedway and the Menards 200. Mason Mitchell continuing to lead, but he's got Grant Enfinger all over his back bumper as we have completed 18 of our 200 laps scheduled.
Justin Boston has not lost touch. There he is, that white car, the 25 car. He's running 3rd, but they've opened up quite a large gap over the 4th place car right now. That's Tom Hessert.
Since the drop of the green flag, they've been setting a pretty impressive pace. They've already put the 19th through cars in this field a lap down. So only 18 cars on the lead lap right now as Mason Mitchell continues to try to put more cars a lap down.
Yeah, these top 3 have a half a lap on the 4th place car of Tom Hessert. That's incredible in 20 laps.
And the pack is stacking up behind that 52 of Kenny Schrader.
Yeah, Kenny was able to get by the 6 of Josh Williams just a moment ago. Now he's looking at that 88. That's the 80. That's Cody Coughlin looking at the 88. Kenny's now leading that pack. He's trying to chase down the 10. Cody gets to the inside of Justin Allison.
Cody has the preferred line now as Allison goes way up the racetrack.
Justin's done a nice job maintaining on the outside. Now you see him pull back out in front of Cody Coughlin.
Asked Justin Allison yesterday, what do you have to know about this track to be successful? Well, let's take a look at the move that Ken Schrader put on the 6. It got piled up just in front of him.
They got seized up just a little bit of a nudge. He talked about the bumper. That's about as easy as you can touch somebody. Kenny was able to make that pass.
So that's the way Ken Schrader was able to get by the 6. How are they doing out there, Ray?
Well, Rick, they've got a pair of Schrader Racing cars together. Matt Tiff just ahead of Kenny. The race car that Kenny is driving today is the exact same one that they used to win a year ago here at Toledo. However, it was not the car they had hoped to bring here. They had a new and better short track car, but Kenny Schrader blew a right front tire on the very last lap at Salem and hit the wall really hard with that car. They knew it was not going to be repairable, so they brought back Old Faithful. This race car that Schrader's driving today, he used to run 4 races a year ago, and he won again right here at Toledo.
You know, Ricky, we talked about experience at the top of the show. Kenny Schrader has raced at 431 different racetracks in 46 states and 3 countries.
Yeah, very, very impressive. The battle for second is heating up here. Justin Boston now has caught up to Grant Enfinger.
That's the battle for the lead right there. That's Mason Mitchell, the 98, right in front of that 90 of Grant Enfinger. Remember, Grant Enfinger, what a torrid start to this year with the wins in the first 3 races.
And such a diverse group of races that he was able to win at. Daytona, Mobile, and Salem. Went to Talladega, still had a pretty impressive run at Talladega.
He had a shot at that one. I think he ended up with an 8th place finish, so anything can happen at a place like that. Tom Hessert, that 77, got his first super speedway win at Talladega. Big moment for him.
Yeah, very big. You ride along with Justin Boston. This is what it looks like for these drivers. It's getting difficult to find space around here. Sometimes you've got to make space.
A lot of cars are doing a nice job staying out of the way. That's Tommy Prater in the 2 car. See, Mason Mitchell's going to try to go to the inside. Tommy's going to give way and give him room.
Grant Enfinger will try to tuck in behind that 98. Take advantage of the 2 of Thomas Prater moving up the track. How about this? J.J. Haley, the young 15-year-old, is now making his way onto pit road early. Ray, what's going on with this guy?
He said he has no fuel coming to the engine, said it just shut off, and they are trying to get to his pit stall here to try and diagnose it, but trouble early here as we're only 30 laps in.
I mentioned John West Townley's busy weekend. How about J.J. Haley, a 15-year-old? He runs super late models. Matter of fact, ran a super late model race in Missouri last night.
Yeah, 11 in Missouri, finished 11 and got back here to the racetrack. But you make a green flag pit stop here, you're going to lose a minimum of 2 laps. If he could immediately fire it off, he would be at least 2 laps down, maybe 3, and it's going to be awfully hard to overcome that. Because we aren't going to see a lot. You know, we have the wave around here now in the ARCA Racing Series, but you're not going to make that many pit stops where the leaders come to pit road.
We're trying to diagnose what was going on with that 66. Still out front, the 98 of Mason Mitchell. Welcome back to the Menards 200 from Toledo Speedway for the ARCA Racing Series. It's still Mason Mitchell out front. He's got about a 3-car length lead over Grant Enfinger, and then it's Justin Boston tucked in to the 3rd spot. 43 of 200 laps is what we're on. It's been all Mason Mitchell since the drop of the green flag, and so far he has passed the entire field with the exception of the top 15. So only 15 on the lead lap as Mason Mitchell continues to run a flawless race.
He's been running very, very fast. That white car, that is J.J. Haley in the 66 car. Remember, he's being shown 8 laps down now because of whatever problem he had when he came to pit road. They've driven away from Justin Boston a little bit. He's about a 2nd and a half behind. But Matt Tiff and Kenny Schrader in the 2 Kenny Schrader cars that Ray was talking about are both maintaining right now. We talked about the leader having a half lap over that group. But right now, Matt Tiff and Kenny Schrader have actually gained a little bit on our leader, Mason Mitchell. And now, right now, being shown about 8.5 seconds behind.
Lap traffic causing a little bit of mayhem down here for that 55 of Cody Coughlin. He had to get up the racetrack as we ride along with Spencer Gallagher. He's got a pretty good look at the 44 of Frank Kimmel, another guy that wouldn't be bad to follow around this track.
Yeah, Frank has made his way up into the top 10. Spencer Gallagher, that Allegiant Air Chevy, right now running in the 11th spot. Just solid. Frank is just solid. He's taking his time. He hasn't taken any chances. He knows how to get to the front.
It's been all green flag racing since the initial green flag. And Ray, does that change any type of pit strategy that's going to come into play?
Well, it very well could, Rick. They've got 6 tires down here in the pit, so if you played it out, you could do it multiple different ways. Some guys say they'll come down for 4 only. If they're able to do that, they'd like to do it right around lap 100 or 110. You don't want to go much later than that. But a few guys told me they would consider using their right side set also. So we'll just see when the cautions come out. That'll dictate what they decide to do. Jim?
Ray, the driver, the number 77, Tom Hessert, rides in the top 5, but he said the car is extremely tight. When I talked to his crew chief, Paul Andrews, about his strategy, he told me he's going to divide this race into thirds. He'll want to put the right side tires on around lap 70. If everything goes to plan, they want to put 4 tires on with about 70 laps to go in the race. At any point, though, with that tight condition and Hessert losing ground in the top 3, they will come to pit road and expect them to top off with fuel for the only time today, but they look for maybe 40, 50, 60 laps left in the race to put on those 4 fresh your tires.
How about Spencer Gallagher able to get by the 44 of Frank Kimmel? Looks like Kimmel might be holding up a couple guys here, which is a little bit rare. Oh, and around goes to 28. It looked as though the 15 of John West Townley got into the back of the 28 of Mike Buckley. Around goes Buckley. The caution comes out.
Yeah, John West had made the move to the bottom of the racetrack. Mike Buckley did not realize he was there. Came down towards the bottom of the racetrack, and John West already had his nose up in there. Going to be an opportune time now. I think these guys are probably going to come in. We've completed 51 laps. I think they'll probably come in, maybe put their right side tires on and try to ride this thing till about 120 or 30 or 40 laps to put the 4 tires on.
Fourth of the race already in the books. Take another look at why the caution should come out.
See, John West had made the move to the bottom. He had Austin Wayne Self, the 22, right behind him. Everyone does a nice job avoiding Mike Buckley. He stays down on the infield grass.
A little bit of rain here the past couple days, so that infield grass is a little bit wet. There's some standing puddles down there, but it looks as though Mike Buckley's going to be okay. He's back out of the grass, back headed the right direction.
Right now we're left with 14 cars on the lead lap. We'll have a lucky dog free pass recipient. That'll make it 15.
And so the field will line up behind the pace car once they are all in line. ARCA Racing Series will open up pit road, and we'll see who will take the opportunity to make their way onto pit road. Maybe make some changes, and as you mentioned, potentially go with right side tires.
Yeah, I think some guys may want to gamble too and say, okay, I want to save those right side tires for later on. You see the damage to the 15 car. That's where the contact with Mike Buckley came. Most of the front running cars coming towards pit road.
Pit road is open, and the 90 and 98 making their way onto pit road. Jim Trado.
Tight is the word on pit road. Driving now down pit road first to be the number 90. The Triple K Construction Ford of Brad Enfinger. He'll come in and change 2 right side tires. Calling the shots. Kelly Kopsky, who finished 6th in this race last year as a driver, has a very good setup under the car. They thought the car was a tick tight since the outset. Staying out is the 77 of Tom Hessert. Now he comes down pit road hard into his stall. They're going to change 2 right side tires as well in his Care Guard Dodge. Right side tires and 2 rounds in the track bar to get that car free from its tight condition. Ray?
Jim, back here we have the 2nd and 3rd place cars are in pit stall 1 and 2. They're going with right side tires. Drop the track bar on the number 98. The 25 is away, but you can see the 17 had trouble getting into his pit stall, and that's going to block Matt Tifton. The number 10 car was in here first, but the 17 held him up. They'll make a track bar adjustment for Kyle Benjamin.
As Ray talked about the proximity there on pit road, those very, very small pits. Watch this. Watch behind this car. Watch the 98 behind this car.
Fell down. Crazy pit road at Toledo. Stay with us. And welcome back to Toledo Speedway as the ARCA Racing Series taking on this half-mile short track. Menards 200. Right now scored out front, it's Justin Allison. Mason Mitchell was the first driver off of pit road, but he wasn't the first one onto pit road because actually a pass was made just as the spin was taking place in front. Look at Grant Enfinger.
You see the 15, that's the 15 John West Townley that initiated the contact. The 22 of Austin Wayne Self saw that happening, moved up. Mason Mitchell had to get out of the gas, and when he did, Grant Enfinger took the opportunity to get by him, but Mason Mitchell won the battle off pit road. But the 88 did, as we speculated, maybe somebody would gamble, save those tires. Justin Allison and his guys did that. He did not come to pit road.
So Justin Allison will be out in front of the field. Let's go down to Jim Trado.
And with the tight quarters down here, you mentioned the 22 of Austin Wayne Self, the AM Technical Solutions Dodge actually pitted twice. He had a slight rub on the outer edge of the tread on his hoosier on the right front. They changed the right side, but crew chief Chad Bryant elected to come back to pit road for a second trip to adjust the left side air pressure. So they're playing with pressures. They took away track position to get their car to handle because the driver is saying, my car is really, really tight. Help me out more. They're just with those fresh right side tires. That's the trip down pit road ×2 for the 22 of Self.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Justin Allison fares with these older tires. And everybody with mostly right side tires, new right side tires. Mason Mitchell, certainly the 9A car, one of those.
Field all in line once again. This time it's behind Justin Allison on that inside line. Mason Mitchell on the outside. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for that 98 of Mason Mitchell. He flies by the 88 of Justin Allison. He'll take the lead, and here comes Grant Enfinger on the outside to take second.
It's going to be really important for Justin Allison to know the fact that he's on old tires. Just try to manage those tires. What he's playing with right now, he's going to try to get an advantage later on with fresh tires when nobody else has them. But he has to just maintain his composure and stay on the lead lap.
Justin Boston looking at the inside now. That 88 of Justin Allison, as is the 6, Josh Williams. Allison, as you mentioned, he's got his hands full now on the older tires compared to the cars around him.
Now Benjamin, the 17 white car right in front of that 15 Zaxby's car of John West Townley. There's Kenny Schrader, the Federated car on the outside of Cody Coughlin in the 55 car.
Kenny Schrader scored back in the 8th position.
Again, for Kenny Schrader, it's about getting a lap 150, 160, whenever that happens, and he gets that last set of tires on. Then he knows it's time to go.
Schrader also trying to find a way to get down to the preferred line of this racetrack. He'll be able to do it in front of that 17 of Kyle Benjamin. Well, now Benjamin pokes the nose back underneath there as they go down the front stretch and into turns 1 and 2.
Kyle Benjamin, the 2-time winner in this series last year. Remember, that's the car that Chris Buescher won 4 out of 5 races. The battle for the lead is tightened up here a little bit.
Heating up once again. Grant Enfinger all over the back bumper, as well as the 25 of Justin Boston. He's in there, maybe a little contact. Boston running in the 3rd spot, Enfinger in 2nd. They're all chasing Mason Mitchell.
Just a little bit of contact. Justin Boston wanted to let Grant Enfinger know that he's here and it's time to go.
You know, Boston has been able to stay right on the back bumper of that 90. It looks as though Boston might have a little better handling car right now than Enfinger, and he's trying to get to the preferred line, that inside line.
Yeah, Grant's diming the corner a little bit, making a late arc into the corner, then slides up a little bit in the center, try to get a little straighter run off the corner. Problem with that is the guy behind you can stick his nose up in there and not allow you to get back down and get that straight run off the corner.
Still Mason Mitchell out front as the caution comes out one more time. The 40 goes around.
Looks like he just stalled, maybe.
So Jay Curry brings out our 2nd caution of the day. Let's take a quick news break. We go back to the Fox Sports 1 studios with Jill Arrington. Welcome back. Pit strategy coming into play now for Justin Allison. He made his way onto pit road for this most recent caution. And Jay Curry in the 40 bringing out the yellow flag. And Ray, it seems as though a totally different strategy for the 88 team of Justin Allison.
Well, they weren't quite sure what they wanted to do for sure, Rick, but they thought about doing 2 tires here. But once you've given up all that track position, why not do something different than the front runners did? So Howard Bixman made the call. He said, let's go with our 4 now. That gives us an option to do 2 later, and maybe we can get off pit road and have a shot to win this thing.
I guess, Phil, the question would be, can he hold off guys with 4 tires?
Yeah, later on, that's what he'll get track position if they pit at the same time.
Great crowd here on hand from Toledo. Stay with us. Green flag has just come back out here at Toledo Speedway. Mason Mitchell out in front of Justin Boston. He's got Grant Enfinger on his outside, trying to take that spot away.
Justin Boston took over that 2nd spot. He took advantage of starting on the inside 2nd row. Was able to get by, not the 90 of Grant Enfinger. Grant slides down in front of Josh Williams in the 6th.
Josh Williams back there in the 4th position. Right behind him, Spencer Gallagher rounding out our top 5. Cody Coughlin in the 6th spot. Kyle Benjamin is 7th. Frank Kimmel 8th. Ken Schrader is 9th. Matt Tift up there in that mix as well.
So Frank Kimmel looks to the inside of the 17 of Kyle Benjamin. Frank is on the move now. Trying to move, gets sideways off of turn 4.
Went sideways off of 4 and lost a little position to that 17 of Kyle Benjamin. Benjamin now tucks down to the white line. And battle for the lead. Here comes that 25 of Justin Boston. He's got the preferred line on the inside. On the outside, it's Mason Mitchell trying to fight back.
Had a bit of a wiggle off of turn 4, did not slow him down. He's going to be able to make that pass. Now see if Grant Enfinger can come with him.
Grant Enfinger does get the inside line and will take second away from the 98 of Mason Mitchell. So Grant Enfinger up to second. Justin Boston, your new leader.
This is the first time that the 98 has been behind anybody other than at the instant the first caution came out. So we'll see what kind of adjustments they may want to make later on here, or is he just riding right now and saving his stuff?
Youth versus experience. You've got 3 drivers in front of this field that have never won this race. Justin Boston, Grant Enfinger, as well as Mason Mitchell. Josh Williams also, you can tack his name to the list. The 23 is Spencer Gallagher. So your top 5 have never won at Toledo. So right now I would say that youth are winning out over experience.
Yeah, how about these 2 guys right here running together? Frank Kimmel, the 44. Kenny Schrader, the 52. 97 career ARCA wins between them.
Yeah.
14 at this racetrack.
Very impressive. 2 experienced drivers in this field. Cody Coughlin looks as though holding up Kyle Benjamin right now. Kyle Benjamin all over the back bumper of that 55.
It looks like Kyle Benjamin wants to go there. He could have taken him out. He didn't do that. He just let him know that he was there. Boogered up the rear bumper a little bit in the left rear quarter panel. Now Frank's going to try to do the same thing on the inside of Cody Coughlin.
Frank saw the little bit of crumpled fender there and decided he'd slide right underneath that 55, trying to take the spot away. I'm sure Ken Schrader's going to tuck in behind that 44 and see if he can get by as well.
Frank drives it down hard in the corner. Hard to get that power down on exit.
These guys running in the 8th and 9th position, Kimmel and Schrader, trying to take 7th away from Cody Coughlin. And now Schrader makes the move on Kimmel.
Schrader said, Frank, if you're not going to make that pass, I'm going to go by you and try to do it.
We'll see how much success Kimmel has actually as he chases after the 52 of Schrader. Schrader now working the higher line as they go by the lap traffic of Mike Buckley.
Yeah, Kenny had to duck in right behind the 55 up on the high side to get by that lap car. I'm going to try to make the move on the inside. That's the way to make the passes. Try to get underneath somebody on exit and beat him down to the next corner.
Once again, the cars off the pace are coming into play as far as racing for position. Tom Hesser came onto pit road under this most recent caution, Jim. What'd they do?
Well, they wanted to take half the adjustment they put in the car to free it up. They actually went too far. Richie Pinder said, we put 2 rounds in, we brought 1 back out to not get as far off as we were. Unfortunately, they're stuck back here in 15. With that pit stop, they lined up 16. So their guess is not right on. They thought they had a really strong car to the test earlier this week, but this weather is playing a factor. It was about 20 degrees cooler yesterday. Here it's hot and sunny, but when the sun goes away, guys, the track temperature and air temp changes about 10 degrees. They're fighting conditions right now, so Hesser may break with that strategy of 1 more stop. They may indeed come down every chance they get to adjust that 77 Dodge.
Yeah, right now, Tom's a little bit off the pace. He's running by himself, and he's about 0.3 of a second slower than the front-running cars.
17 cars on the lead lap, all chasing after Justin Boston, your race leader, the Menards 200. Closing in on the halfway point of the Menards 200 from Toledo Speedway. Still out front, it's Justin Boston running in the 2nd spot. Grant Enfinger, and almost a half a track back now is Mason Mitchell. And Mitchell was so dominant at the start of this race, but he has lost touch with leader Justin Boston.
There's Justin right there running very, very fast laps. Each lap among the fastest 3 cars, even with a little bit of traffic. He's driven away by over a second over that 90 of Grant Enfinger. As you mentioned, it's over 6 seconds back to our 3rd place car of Mason Mitchell. There's a good battle there. Frank Kimmel continues to try to get by Cody Coughlin in the 55 car.
Again, Schrader was able to get by Frank Kimmel and Cody Coughlin. He also got by Spencer Gallagher, so Schrader is up into the 6th position. And it looks as though Kimmel is going to complete the pass and get by Cody Coughlin in the 55.
That moves Frank up into the 8th spot. Matt Tiff, the 10 car, is going to try to do the same thing and get by that 55. There's Justin Allison with the 4 tires right now, just outside the top 10. Going to try to get in the top 10 right now.
Trying to make that strategy work. How about this? Kyle Benjamin in the 17 just in front of Kenny Schrader and Mason Mitchell. And it looks as though Schrader's going to get by the 98 as well, Ray.
And keep in mind, Rick, I just said that Mason Mitchell was loose. He was about a 3 loose, so they dropped the track bar a couple of rounds and made an air pressure adjustment for him when they put those right side tires on. And he said it has absolutely killed his entry. You can see it when he goes into the corner. It's really bad. Coming off, not so bad, but killing his entry with the adjustments they made on car 98.
Yeah, he's lost a couple spots there. His crew keeping an eye on it. Josh Williams, that 6 car, having a great run. He's all over the back of Mason Mitchell. Kenny Schrader, Kyle Benjamin have gotten by Mason Mitchell here in the last 5 or 6 laps.
Phil, those that pitted on that second caution, is fuel a concern? Can somebody stay out? If this thing goes green the rest of the way, could you stay out?
I think there's a good possibility of that. And that trouble over in turn 3 and 4.
Big hit into the styrofoam barriers over there. That's the 2 of Thomas Prater. And so that brings up our 3rd caution.
Just about halfway. I think it's too early to put those other 4 tires on. I think these guys are going to rely on some more caution flags for the opportunity to put the 4 tires on.
There's a reason that styrofoam is there. History has shown that there has been some big hits into that concrete wall just as you enter turn number 3, and that's exactly what Thomas Prater did. And so he caught one of these styrofoam barriers.
Look at, did you see the imprint of the wheel on that styrofoam barrier?
How hard he had hit that barrier.
Look at that. That's amazing, really. Just think that would have been a concrete wall without those styrofoam barriers there. And that was a pretty hard hit as it was.
Yep. Looks as though Prater's going to let it roll back down a bit. Actually, now the crew's letting him know to just hang on. It's Jamie Beard, one of the officials here, safety officials.
With 11, 12 degree banking over this, kind of hard to hold that car up on the banking.
So it's the 3rd caution that's come out. Probably a little early, though, for guys to come in for those 4 tires.
The pit road is open. Justin Boston is making his way towards the pit road. Let's see if he is coming on pit road. Grant Enfinger decide he's going to come in, a late decision to come in, as well as Kyle Benjamin.
That was the hit that Prater took, and now here come the cars onto pit road. Jim Trado.
Just made the call. Crew Chief Kelly Kopsky says no adjustments. Let's get 4 tires on this car. This is our stop. This may be the final stop for Enfinger in search of his 4th victory this season. 4 tires. They're keeping an eye on the traffic around them. Also coming to pit road is a 23 of Spencer Gallagher. He was on the charge in that Allegiant Travel number 23. He just reported before the caution came out, I am loose on entry. So this car is going to get an adjustment. 2 right side tires going on. The lefts are on the wall as well. They may go 4. We'll update you in a moment. Let's go to Ray.
The 25 was the leader. He came in. They're going to go with 4 tires on this Loop Camry, but you'll notice the 98 has his rear sitting out. He's in pit stall number 1. Will it block Boston, or will he be able to get by him? They've got 4 tires on the number 25. They think he'll be able to make it out. He backs up a little bit, and even with having to back up, he and the 17 are going to have a race off. The 17 will be the first off pit road.
Well, talk about taking advantage of a situation. Kyle Benjamin drove around the 25 while he was trying to work his way out of his pit stall.
Because that 98 had come in and went the tail end of that car out there on pit road. They had to back up. While they were backing up, the 17 shoots out of their stall and goes right by the 25.
Could have been a little strategy on the 98's part to lock that 25 in. It's been known to happen.
It didn't work out as far as helping them get the lead off of pit road, because quite a few cars were able to get in front of that 98 before he was able to come off of pit road. There's the damage to the back of Thomas Prater, once again slamming into the concrete wall in turn number 3, and then the safety barrier. This week, Fox Sports 1's 10 Days of Thunder rolls on with the biggest NASCAR events from Charlotte and special primetime editions of Race Up. And it's a full slate of qualifying and race day coverage, all leading up to the Coca-Cola 600 on Fox. Fox Sports 1's 10 Days of Thunder, sponsored by Chevrolet, continues all this week.
How about the other day when we were on from the morning till 11 or 12?
12 hours, yeah.
That was amazing.
11 to 11.
Great stuff.
That was Friday, and again, it continues all throughout the week. Not continuing is the 2 of Thomas Prater. Take a look as he was getting into turn 3. Looks as though he lost the back end of it, slams into the wall, and then the styrofoam slows him down.
Yeah, we actually talked about the fact that he hit that styrofoam. What a break it was. He did not. He hit the concrete and then hit the styrofoam.
Jim Trado.
Well, I'm hanging out with Thomas Prater. This car extremely damaged. Thomas, what did happen to turn you around in turn 3?
Well, we come off of turn 2 and something broke in the right front. I'm not real sure what it was, and it got me in the back straightaway wall, and I tried to save it, and then when it came back around, then back to the wall. Just really a solid day for the DK Lock Realtor Ford. It's tough break. You have that happen every now and then, but we'll get it fixed, and we'll be at the next race.
One of the tough blows here for a driver who does a whole lot of work himself on his race cars. They'll get this repaired. Every safety element stayed in place. You see the fuel cell still intact here behind his number 2.
That shows you how fast these guys are going here.
Oh, yeah.
They lap this track at just under 16 seconds on new tires.
Take a look at our Menards 200 race summary. Just 90 laps to go. Justin Allison in front of the field. Now, does strategy pay off? Because he has he got the 4 fresh tires earlier.
Yeah, without that many laps on him. So if his car's pretty good right now, and he has 2 right side tires in the bank too, where most of these other cars do not. They've put their last tires on here, so it could work out well for him if he gets a caution. If he can maintain the speed, get a caution with 35, 40 laps to go, put those right side tires on, may have something for him.
Out of turn 4, green flag back in the air. Justin Allison on the inside, Kyle Benjamin on the outside. Benjamin with the fresher tires on the high side. He's going to take the lead away.
Grant Enfinger, the 90 car, is going to try to follow him. Remember, they're teammates, the 88 of Allison and the 90 of Enfinger.
Racing side by side for second. Looks as though Enfinger's going to prevail as they go to turn number 1. Enfinger now up to second. Justin Allison running in the 3rd spot. Just behind him, Justin Boston. Boston looks to the inside of the 88 for 3rd.
Remember now, these passes count because most of these guys, they're not going to come to pit road anymore. They put their 4 tires on a little bit early, I think, but they're not going to come to pit road anymore. Kenny Schrader makes it 3 wide in that 52 car to make a pass over the 77 of Hessert and the 6 of Josh Williams. They're still 3 wide.
He also got by that 98 of Mason Mitchell, but 3 wide, continuing for position back here. That Tift in the 10 on the inside of Cody Coughlin in the 55. Those 2 stay side by side as Tommy Hessert now trying to hold on to the position, but Cody Coughlin on the outside, Tift on the inside, slow for the 77 of Hessert.
Yeah, I think there's a battle for the lead here. The 90 of Grant Enfinger has got the lead from Kyle Benjamin.
Grant Enfinger trying to make it 4 wins out of 5 races in the 2014 season. He now is your race leader in Toledo.
And it doesn't do any good for him to drive away now. We know we get a caution flag, that lead evaporates. We have 85 laps to go. That's a long way to go to hold on to these tires.
So now you're a crew chief. You're telling them on the radio, all right, don't pull away. Be easy on the tires. Just stay in front of the 17.
Yeah, just don't spin the tires. You can run hard. Just don't spin the tires off the corner when you try to get all that power down.
Enfinger, your new race leader. Kyle Benjamin running second. Justin Boston as we ride along trying to take that second spot away from Benjamin.
Justin has an awfully good car here. We saw him drive away before this most recent caution. He gets to the inside of Benjamin to get that second spot.
We'll see if Justin Boston has anything for Grant Enfinger now. With Boston back out in front, Kyle Benjamin drops back to the 3rd spot.
Now that may change things a little bit if Justin Boston is able to drive up to the rear bumper. As we watch this side-by-side battle, Kenny Schrader getting by the 44 Frank Kimmel. If Justin Boston is able to drive up to Grant Enfinger, that may force Grant to run a little harder because he wants to stay in front of that 25 car.
Cody Coughlin watching that battle for the 8th spot. It was taken away by Schrader. Frank Kimmel running in the 9th position now. Cody Coughlin rounding out our top 10.
Mason Mitchell, the 98 car, has been able to get by Justin Allison to take over the 4th spot.
Justin Boston in the 25 now has dropped back to the 2nd spot, but still chasing after that 90 of Grant Enfinger, Ray.
Justin Boston has 3 career poles, and Rick, he told me earlier today he felt like he should have won the pole here yesterday, but he was the first car onto the racetrack and just didn't get the line that he had hoped to and did not have the qualifying they were asking for. But he said his race car is really, really good. It's got great drive off, and throughout the course of the year, this team has been fighting some mechanical gremlins. They had a rear gear go bad. They also had an alternator go bad. And he said, if the piece of equipment stays with me today, I believe we're good enough here at Toledo to get our first win.
And they're looking strong right now as they give chase to Grant Enfinger in that 90.
Yeah, these two cars have been among the 2 or 3 fastest cars of this entire race. Good battle there with the 15 of John West Town and the 22 of Austin Wayne Self. Josh Williams, that 6 car, is going to try to peek under that 15 of Town.
Surprisingly enough, Austin Wayne Self used the high line to get by the 15 of John West Town.
Sometimes you get all these cars running on the bottom of the racetrack. It gets a little slick down there. You get up a little bit higher. Not as much rubber up there. Problem for the 77 of Tom Hessert. Looks like he blows an engine here. Exit of 4. He's going to make his way to pit road. Caution flag will come out.
Caution comes out for the 4th time now on lap 126. And what's happening down there, Jim?
I don't quite know yet. They're trying to get him to stop. They had a little problem with the brakes. Something wrong with the right front as well. A lot of smoke. Hard to tell exactly what it is, but as quickly as it went up, it surprised this team. I smell oil, boys. It might be motor.
Yeah, we can see some fluid behind that car as he pulled into his pit stall.
It's a tough break for Tom, who came into this race 4th in points. Certainly within reach of the lead.
Running for a championship.
A lot of fluid down on pit road now.
So the safety crew will have to go to work to try to clear up some of that fluid. As you see Hessert climbing out of the truck. And the spectrum of emotions, Tom Hessert, the most recent winner in the ARCA Racing Series from Talladega. He comes to the short track here at Toledo and is out way earlier than he would have ever expected. Great crowd here on hand, too. We are under our 4th caution. This time it was the engine expiring for the 77 of Tom Hessert, and that's the fluid that's on pit road, and they're continuing to try to clean that up. And a little dancing going on while they're doing it. But we want to hear from Tom Hessert. He's standing by with Jim Trado.
And Tom, you guys fought through some handling issues after running in the top 5 early, but what did happen with the motor? Any warning?
No, I mean, it wasn't running great all day. Like I said, struggled a little bit with some handling. Motor didn't feel too crisp for most of it. And then motor just let go. I don't know if it threw a rod or what, but definitely blew up in a pretty big way. And it's a shame, you know, coming off of a race a couple weeks ago. But, you know, we'll go back, rebuild, get ready for New Jersey.
That's Tom Hessert, the most recent race winner at Talladega Super Speedway. They had a very successful test here, but things went awry quickly for his number 77 Dodge.
Tom will look forward to going to New Jersey. That's home state. He's from Cherry Hills, New Jersey.
Yeah, home game for him.
You mentioned a couple weeks ago it was Talladega Super Speedway where he made one of the more impressive passes on Bobby Gerhart to claim that win 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, big moment for him. I talked to his dad yesterday down in the garage area. Talked to Tom this morning, and they were pretty pumped up about that one, as well they should be.
But a disappointment today as the engine expires early. Ray Dunlap.
Just saw that Justin Allison came down pit road today. He's making his first start on a short track here for the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards. And I ran down to ask Howard Bixman. He said, well, we had hoped to wait a little later to put these right side tires on, but we were afraid we may end up being too far back and not enough time to make it up. So they have decided to pit here at lap 130. He's got new right side tires. Should be a little bit better than the guys who pitted earlier.
You know, that's a great point. All the talk in the garage area was how late you wanted to wait to put them on, and I don't think anybody thought that we would have as many cars on the lead lap at this point. We still have 15 cars on the lead lap. They were thinking it would be more like a 8, and so they know they would restart up in the first 4 rows. You're talking about starting in row 8 now, row 7 or 8, so it's a little bit harder.
And if you get stuck on the outside, so if you're an even number restarter, you're on the outside, and that's not the preferred line, and so they can freight train you on the inside. Letting the drivers know next time by, we will go back to green. It's Grant Enfinger and Justin Boston. Scored 1 and 2.
Remember, this style of restart's new to the ARCA Racing Series. We're used to it in NASCAR, the 3 major divisions of NASCAR, as well as the K&N Series, but new this year for the shootout style restarts.
Spencer Gallagher is going to restart in the 7th spot. Kenny Schrader, defending race winner, is back in the 6th position. 9-time winner of this race, Frank Kimmel, restarting 8th.
Be a very critical restart right here. Justin Boston would love to get that lead back and wrestle it away from that 9 Grant Enfinger.
2 by 2 behind Grant Enfinger and Justin Boston coming out of turn number 4. Green flag back in the air.
Nice job by Grant Enfinger to hold that lead side by side for third for a moment. Now Mason Mitchell has it.
Mason Mitchell's got it. Kyle Benjamin back into the 4th spot. Battle for 5th. Team cars side by side for that 5th spot.
Yeah, Matt tipped on the bottom as we watch from Spencer Gallagher's onboard. Kenny Schrader, the 52, on the outside. Teacher and pupil.
Yeah, and Kenny Schrader might say, hey, cut me a little break here. That's my car. You're driving.
If you want to drive it again, you're going to give me a break.
You might want to let me in. Matt Tiff tucks in behind the 52, right?
Matt Tiff from Hinckley, Ohio, has a lot of fans in the grandstand today, and he graduated high school last weekend. He said he's very excited about that, and he is going to be moving to Charlotte in the next few weeks. He'll start taking college at University of North Carolina in Charlotte. So big move for Matt coming up, and he's got a good run going today in front of a lot of fans.
His best career finish came in this race 1 year ago. He finished 5th, so he knows how to get around this racetrack, and right now he's following the boss man.
Another one of those teenagers just graduating from high school at 18 years old is Matt Tiff. And side-by-side racing continue. Austin Wade Self in the 22 outside of Josh Williams.
Josh Williams, that 6 car, is another one of the cars that came to pit road along with the 88 of Justin Allison on this most recent caution flag.
Trying to utilize the right side tires is Justin Allison. He's running in the 11th spot. John West Townley in 10th just in front of him. So Justin Allison trying to break into that top 10, trying to get the use out of those right side tires. Grant Enfinger has about a half a second lead over the 25 of Justin Boston, and then it's a couple car lengths back to that 98 of Mason Mitchell. We have just 61 laps to go. Welcome back to the Menards 200 Toledo Speedway. ARCA Racing Series 5th race in 2014. Grant Enfinger trying to get to victory lane for the 4th time this year. He started off the season winning the first 3 races. Finished 9th at Talladega in our most recent race, and now out front here in Toledo. Has Justin Boston behind him. Mason Mitchell running in the 3rd spot. Ken Schrader up into the top 5, and he's running 4th. And Matt Tiff, the team car, back in the 5th spot.
You know, Rick, we talked at the top of the show about the youth versus experience. Right now, one of the young kids. There's one of the young kids, Kyle Benjamin, with a problem. Kyle was running up there in the top, well, comfortably in the top 10. 2-time winner here in the series last year, but we were talking about the youth versus experience. Right now, the youth is prevailing, but Grant Enfinger, we put him in the veteran category.
I would say he's more of an experienced driver, as he's got quite a few wins in this series. The 17 coming to you, Ray. What's going on?
Listening on the radio right now, he is coming to pit road. He said earlier he had a bit of a brake problem. Remember, he had taken the lead back at lap 105, but he will be on pit road now. The Rulo brothers will try to diagnose this thing. We'll give you an update here shortly.
Tough break. You make a green flag pit stop here, even if it's just for a flat tire and you only have pit road for a few seconds, it's still going to not going to be able to overcome that. You're going to lose a couple laps. You wouldn't be in any position to get the free pass. We're not going to have any more wave arounds because most of these cars aren't going to pit again.
They're jacking up the right side, and they're taking a look underneath that car. Not changing tires, but looking underneath it. Try to diagnose what the problem is Enfinger still holding off that 25 of Justin Boston.
Looks like they're looking in the area of the drivetrain, maybe the transmission, drive shaft, rear end, something like that.
17 was slow all the way down the backstretch through 3 and 4, and then on to pit road, so might have been without power or maybe jumped out of gear as we ride along with Justin Boston. Enfinger going by one of the lap cars. A good battle for the 8th spot. Spencer Gallagher has it. Cody Coughlin trying to take it away.
Yeah, Spencer had a runner-up finish at Salem a few weeks ago. Cody's going to try to get to the inside of him. Going to peek his nose up there.
Yeah, a little bit of bobble by Spencer Gallagher. Opened that door up for Cody Coughlin.
See how much harder it is from the bottom to get that power down. You see him playing with that throttle all the way off the corner until pretty much they get straight on the straightaway. It's a great view from this onboard camera out the right side window of that jegs.com Toyota.
And just being able to hear how they work that throttle. So gentle, trying to go through the center of the turn and off.
Yeah, you're talking about these cars having about 850 horsepower. So that's a lot of horsepower to try to get hooked up to this racetrack.
And you wear the good off of these Hoosier tires. So you got to be even more gentle that you don't spin your tires coming off of turns 2 and 4. Ray, what did they diagnose with the 17?
Well, Rick, Kyle Benjamin said the engine was still running when he lost power, but he said it probably must be in the transmission. They can't see anything outright, but the drive shaft is still hooked on. It looks like the rear end gear is okay, so they believe it must be transmission, but it looks like they may be done for the day.
Yeah, they don't race for the driver championship. They use several different drivers. Kyle Weatherman will also drive this 17 car this year, another one of the youngsters.
And now we ride along with Cody Coughlin as he once again tries to get by that 23 of Spencer Gallagher, but Gallagher has been able to get in front of him. Frank Kimmel by the 15. Kimmel up into the 6th spot, just in front of him 2 positions is Ken Schrader running 4th. Laps beginning to wind down, Phil, so with only 37 to go. Is there time for a Ken Schrader or a Frank Kimmel, 2 of the bigger veterans we have in this field, to get up to the front and catch Enfinger?
Well, they're going to have a caution flag. They're going to have some help to do it. They're not going to chase them down on their own. Grant Enfinger right now is at the start-finish line right there. Kenny Schrader now just coming off turn 4, so these guys have a pretty large lead with only 36 laps to go. It's good. They need some help.
They will need a caution if they want to catch up to race leader Grant Enfinger. How about Boston? Justin Boston. Has he been maybe saving his tires as we ride along with Justin?
Grant trying to get Michael Lira in the 68 to give him a little bit of room. Let me have the bottom of the racetrack on entrance to the corner. Pretty close call there. A little bit of a wiggle by Michael Lira. He does a nice job holding on to that Bill Kimmel car.
So Enfinger has about a 2 to 3 car length lead over Justin Boston. When you say go to your driver, if you're in that Venturini Motorsports crew and telling the 25 of Justin Boston what to do, trying to get by that 90.
Well, if he is saying anything or saving anything, I think I would like to say about 20, 25 laps to go. You never know how you're going to hit traffic. So if you got anything left, let's go ahead and do it. And let's worry about keeping the lead, not getting the lead.
So right now he closes the gap as they continue to go through lap traffic. It's Grant Enfinger out in front. Justin Boston running in the 2nd spot. Mason Mitchell is 3rd. Ken Schrader and Matt Tiff in the top 5. Welcome back. 25 laps, now 24 laps to go in the Menards 200. It's Grant Enfinger, and he has a mirror full of Justin Boston.
Yeah, these guys have just lapped by a couple lead lap cars. Austin Wayne Self in the 22. And Justin Allison in the 88. I thought that might be an opportunity for Justin Boston to use that traffic. They were able to get by that traffic, but he certainly closed up on them.
And does he use the bumper to get by? He gets into the back of the 90 of Grant Enfinger, looking to take the lead away. He's got the preferred line. Enfinger has to go up a half a lane. And now Boston on the inside, side by side for the lead as they come down the front stretch.
Kevin Reed, crew chief with Justin Boston, said, please clear him, please clear him.
Here comes Enfinger back on the outside now. Staying strong, Enfinger trying to make it 4 wins in the 2014 season, but Boston with a preferred line, trying to take that position away. A little contact as they go into turns 1 and 2.
They're going to catch some lap cars here, and where are they going to catch them? Are the lap cars going to be on the bottom? That may hurt Justin Boston.
The next car they'll come up to will be J.J. Haley. Now Enfinger drops back just a bit, but now fights back on the outside.
Justin Boston moves Enfinger up the racetrack a little bit. 20 laps to go.
3 laps. It's been side by side for these two. Now Enfinger drops back a bit again as they come out of turn number 4 across the stripe. It's Boston still out front. Enfinger trying to hang on. Way up the racetrack goes Enfinger. Here comes Mason Mitchell, and now Boston securely in that top spot.
Yeah, right before we got to the lap car of Mike Buckley, that was going to be huge.
So Justin Boston's going to try to separate himself from Grant Enfinger and Mason Mitchell with just 18 laps to go in Toledo.
One of the lap cars in front of them now is the 66 of J.J. Haley, who's a teammate to Justin Boston. He's going to get well out of the way here.
Under 17 to go. The race leader, Justin Boston.
Mason Mitchell's looking a lot racier than he's been in a while here. It's right up on the back bumper of Grant Enfinger.
Justin Boston has been impressive in his short career in the ARCA Racing Series, but has never been to victory lane. Closest he's been has been a second-place finish at Madison a year ago.
Mitchell looks to the inside of Enfinger. He's there.
Here comes Mason Mitchell. After setting the track record yesterday in qualifying, trying to utilize that speed to get by the 90 of Grant Enfinger and take second away.
Boy, it almost looks like they gets a little bit sideways. You don't want to do that to those tires.
Does he have enough to catch up to the 25 of Justin Boston? Now he's got his hands full again as Enfinger creeps back up and gets to the inside of that 98.
They're going to get to a lap car here. He's going to block Grant down to the inside.
Sure enough, the 98 of Mason Mitchell uses that slower car to get by.
Loses Bill Catania for a pick.
So now Mason Mitchell is going to try to reel in the 25 of Justin Boston. Boston got behind the 6 of Josh Williams. They're running the preferred line down at the bottom of the track, and that's allowing the 98 of Mason Mitchell to close the gap.
You saw Mason get sideways when he got by the 90 of Grant Enfinger. Now he's opened up 2-3 car lengths. There's some lap cars in front of that 25 of Justin Boston.
Justin Boston looks to the inside of the 6 of Josh Williams. He's able to get by Williams. That means that Mason Mitchell will also have to do the same. He'll time it out to try to figure out the best way to get by Josh Williams as we're closing in on the final 10 laps of this race.
Another teammate, Cody Crawford, in the 55 is the next car for Justin Boston to try to get by. There's Mason Mitchell pretty much matching the leader's lap time that last lap.
Comes out of turn 4 and into turn 1, the 25 of Justin Boston. 9 laps of racing to go. He's 9 away from his first win in the ARCA Racing Series.
What a way to put the bad luck of 2014 behind him by getting, look at how Mason Mitchell gained through that corner.
What a run by the 98 of Mason Mitchell. Mason Mitchell also searching for his first win, and problems with the 90. Grant Enfinger, the right front locked up as he gets onto pit road. We stay green.
Tough break for Grant Enfinger, but a great opportunity for some guys to gain some points.
Grant Enfinger, point leader on pit road. Now it's Justin Boston. Also Spencer Gallagher making the left turn onto pit road as the work continues for the 90 of Enfinger. The gap now, 2 cars between the 25 of Boston and Mason Mitchell. Jim Trado.
The right front completely flat on the number 90 for Enfinger. Deja vu in the worst case scenario. 1 year ago, he raced Kenny Schrader for the win and had a right front go down the late stages that cost him victory here at Toledo. Today, the bead melted off as he was really pushing hard to make his way to the front and get back to the leaders as he was in third when the right front went flat.
Spencer Gallagher shaking his head, also a right front problem for that driver. Here comes the 98 of Mason Mitchell. Under 5 laps of racing to go. He's closed the gap on race leader Justin Boston.
Both these young drivers are hungry, both going for their first win. A bad corner that time for the 98 of Mason Mitchell.
Mason Mitchell used his tires up trying to get by Grant Enfinger, but does he have enough to get by the 25 of Boston? 4 laps, under 4 laps, up into the wall goes the 44 of Frank Kimmel. He has a right front problem, it looks like.
We're going to stay green for now. How about 3 right front tires going flat within 3 laps?
Frank Kimmel to pit road. We stay green. Under 3 laps to go. Race leader Justin Boston trying to hold off the 98 of Mason Mitchell. This time by 2 laps to go.
Remember, ARCA Racing Series will end under green. They will not end a race under caution.
The next flag that will come out will be the white flag. Justin Boston trying to hold off Mason Mitchell. This time as they work their way through 3 and 4. White flag goes in the air. One more time around for Justin Boston.
Josh Williams into the outside wall in turn 4.
Josh Williams into the outside wall. Will it bring out the caution as he's very slow coming up to the start-finish line? He continues on, coming out of turn number 4. Checkered flag for the 25 of Justin Boston. What a great run for that young man.
And a great battle with that 98 car right there of Mason Mitchell. Look how happy that young man is right there.
Field continuing to rocket by the start-finish line, but the celebration is underway. Justin Boston, you mentioned the bad luck that he had experienced in 2014, a 40th place finish at Daytona. Comes back to Mobile, he finishes 20th. Salem, he finishes 15th. Talladega was a 12th. His career best finish coming in was from a year ago at Madison, where he finished 2nd. He's done one better today. He gets to victory lane at Toledo, the historic racetrack, where it all began for ARCA. And let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, Kathy Venturini comes in to give a big hug to Kevin Reed. This will be the 34th win for Venturini Motorsports. And you told me earlier today you knew you guys had a car good enough to win. How confident were you your driver could get it done?
Well, I wondered if he could stand up toe-to-toe to Grant and beat him. And he proved today he could. He done a hell of a job. Mason was coming pretty hard there, and he done a great job this weekend. What a lap qualifying. Venturini Motorsports just continues to give us everything we need to race with. Kathy, Bill, Billy, they let us do our jobs and give us everything we need to race with. This is a brand new Hopkins car we built over the winter for Justin. We've had it out a couple times and had a couple issues with it, breaking parts, and we come back here with a little bit of defeat and just sort of played all weekend, and we come out on top.
Congratulations. At the top of the show, Jim Trado documented that a number of guys had second place finishes in their career. Today, Justin Boston does one better.
An emotional win for this team.
He didn't back into this one either. He ran well this entire race and was able to get by Grant Enfinger.
It's Billy Venturini celebrating with crew chief. Always a great celebration for the Venturini family.
We knew this guy was good. He had a great season last year, 3rd in points. How about that? The first win since 1987 at this racetrack at Toledo.
Unbelievable.
Since Big Bill Sr. won here back in '87. You'd love to see drivers get that first win, and it's so exciting to see Justin Boston and his elation.
And when he comes back, or when we come back, we'll see him get out of that car. What an incredible finish to the Menards 200. Justin Boston and Mason Mitchell battling it out in the final laps, and victorious is Justin Boston. He's in victory lane, and so is our Ray Dunlap.
Well, he's just getting ready to climb out of his Sloop computer electronic and recycling Camry. He jumps down here, and first win of his career. He had finished 2nd at Madison. Big hug from team manager Billy Venturini. Justin, congratulations. We knew you had been hoping this day would come for quite a long time. The folks in Baltimore got to be very, very excited. Tell us about, oh, wait a minute, ready for this? It's a tradition from Big Bill. Hey, it's worth it, right? How's it feel to get your first win here in the ARCA Racing Series?
That was a good kiss, I tell you what. Our Sloop camera is really good today. I got to thank everybody at Venturini Motorsports, and man, what a car today. I can't tell you how good Kevin Reed prepared this Sloop Camry today, and it was a lot of fun to drive this thing. I kept looking out, trying to see where the white flag was, and I was waiting for it for about 10 laps once I passed Grant there at the end. He was really good. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get back by him or not, but we prevailed today, and it feels good to finally get our first win.
There was so much great side-by-side racing action. Was there any point that you were concerned you wouldn't make it to the finish?
Yeah, there was a couple parts where I thought we were going to get some fender damage. We had a couple issues in the pits on our second pit stop, taking 4 tires. We got boxed in pretty good. and I was worried about, punching some fenders in, and we had a really good day today. I can't tell you how happy I am. So it feels good to finally get our first win.
Congratulations. And number 25 in victory lane, Justin Boston, will get the celebration going here at Toledo Speedway. Jim Trado.
And Ray, the driver that did physically everything possible except win this race is Mason Mitchell, 19 years of age, a team owner, a lot of dedication for you and this team. What was the difference in the end?
Well, we just got too far back there, lost a lot of track position after that first pit stop. We just got a little too far to the ball game with our car handling, but then the guys picked it up there and made some good adjustments the second stop, and we were coming there. I just made too many mistakes there at the end. It sucks losing that way because we know we were way faster, but all in all, we had a good day. We beat everybody that's ahead of us in points, so hopefully we gain some points and we'll go on to New Jersey.
For our viewers that went for a long period of green there, what mistakes, what kind of little things kind of cost you that you think the difference?
We made it through traffic really good and got around the 90 fast, and we were running down the 25, and I was there one time. I had the opportunity, like 6 to go, to move them, but I want to do it in the last lap, But coming down here, I found something in 3 and 4, and I just got down too low and hit the grass, and I think lost the nose with like 2 or 3 to go, and it was a bummer. It sucked. We were trying everything we could, there wasn't a lack of effort here today, so we can hold our heads high and then go into New Jersey.
Top 10s every race this season. Talk about the strength of this team that you literally put together hand by hand over the offseason.
Yeah, it's definitely a really strong team. We made some adjustments going in this weekend, and I believe we've gotten even stronger. So, I feel like we're there. We're capable of winning. We just got to close them out and make no mistakes.
Thoughts of Mason Mitchell from Iowa to second at Salem, also second last year at Kansas and Kentucky, his first short track runner-up finish. Ray.
Hey, Jim, we'll give the Scott Rookie of the Race Award to Matt Tifton. There'll be some extra crunch and munch over at Schrader Racing, I'm sure. You started 5th and finished 3rd today. Tell us about the whole event.
Yeah, I mean, we had a really solid car all day. Just got off a little bit at the beginning there, kept making changes as we went on, and the last restart just made a little bit of an air pressure change and just kept plugging away, and cars started to fall off a little bit. And man, if we would have had one more restart there at the end, I think we might have had something for them. But got to thank Federated Auto Parts for putting this whole deal on, having all the people here, all the hospitality tents and friends and family here. It's really, really cool. Got to thank my mom and dad, obviously, for letting me do this. Crunch and Nutter, they helped us out for this race, and Doc 360's been with us for a long time, and it's just really cool to get those people on board and get a good finish for them on TV.
How much fun was it racing with the boss? You guys were side by side for a good bit of this event.
Yeah, we both had really similarly set up cars. So at the end there, it's just, I think I had just a little bit more drive up off the corner. So of course, between the two of us, we're always trying to, it's a race within itself to try to beat each other. But no, it's definitely cool to be able to do that.
Great job. High school graduation last week and a 3rd place run at Toledo this week.
And so, Phil, I would say you won out over experience today.
Without a doubt. Absolutely.
Justin Boston grabs his first win, and the first win for Venerini Motorsports. 27 years here at Toledo. Welcome back to Toledo Speedway. Justin Boston celebrates his first win in the ARCA Racing Series. He was one of 5 drivers that were out front today. Mason Mitchell also led some laps. Grant Infinger, Justin Boston, Matthew Allison, Justin Allison, and Kyle Benjamin were the 5 drivers that were able to lead laps today.
How about John West Townley going back-to-back top 5s? Charlotte in the truck race Friday night, and here at Toledo in the ARCA race.
Frank Kimmel with a right front tire going down late in the race. He ends up in the 14th spot. Spencer Gallagher had the same issue. He was 13th.
Would you believe Frank Kimmel had 35 straight top 10 finishes coming into this race? That breaks the streak.
And outside of the top 10 today. Let's go to Jim Trado.
Well, he did finish top 5, defending race winner, 58 years young, Kenny Schrader. This seems like a pretty good run here. You and Matt Tifton had a great battle. You kind of hinted around team orders before the race, but this young man had a very fast car, as did you. Congrats on 2 top 5s for your team.
Yeah, they really did good. I mean, the Federated car and the Crunch and Nutter car were one piece. Matt had a quicker car. We got around him one time on a restart and thought maybe we could do something, and I couldn't play that game. So when I backed up, I got the heck out of his way when he was coming.
Now, when it comes to these races, you're surrounded by youth, but you also like to go play. You won last night at Escanaba. When it comes to racing all different kinds of drivers, how do you like racing the ARCA Racing Series, especially here at Toledo?
Oh, I love it, but man, these drivers are young now. I mean, really young. One day told me, I'm the youngest one to ever start one. I said, okay, now be the youngest one to win one, But it's fun. They got the speed figured out. They, some of them got to work on the 200 laps, but they all got a lot of talent and be around for a long time.
Nice job on the top 5 run today, Kenny.
Thank you.
Let's go to Ray.
Thank you, Jim. Great finish today for Justin Allison. Made his short track debut here in ARCA. You started 10th today and ended up finished 7th, but throughout the day you were on a different strategy than the other cars.
Yeah, we learned yesterday that we needed to save tires. Saving tires here anyways is a key, but, we didn't want to abuse that right front and have right front tire problems. So that's kind of why we went on the strategy we did. And, it definitely paid off for us. We struggled a little bit there on short runs, but on a long run, we could, a car came to me. The longer we ran, the better we got. But, I'm pretty happy with the way that our finish went for our short track debut.
Your grandpa Donnie was here. I'm curious, what kind of advice did he give you before the race?
He just told me to keep the fenders on it and run all 200 laps.
Well, I guess he had a mission accomplished. Justin Allison finishes 7th.
He does. Top 10 finish for Justin Allison. He mentioned their best finish on their first start on a short track.
Justin Boston in the middle of doing the hat dance. All the various sponsors for the ARCA Racing Series, he will pose with their hats.
You mentioned how John West Townley again finished in the top 5 this weekend. He's standing by with Jim Trado.
Indeed, nice strong run. And you had a long battle with your teammate in that other yellow number 55 machine for Venturini Motorsports. But John West, talk us through your day about the 15 car. You thought you may have had a tire issue at one point.
Well, not a tire issue. We were just really tight all the way. All the way through. I think we got a pretty decent the last pit stop, but unfortunately, we just didn't quite have enough to go up there and contend for the win. We did kind of burn our tires up though. Towards the last pretty early there, trying to battle out with Frank. I think he ended up having a tire go down on him, but. All in all, good day, top 5 for Venturini Motorsports. Congratulations to the 25 team. They really deserve that. Just really got to thank Zaxby's and Toyota, and hopefully we'll go get the next one.
Strong run for John West Townley today, 5th, and he's racing full time in this series and the trucks. Good run for these boys, guys.
Definitely 2 top 5s this weekend for John West Townley. What elation though out of driver the 25, Justin Boston, continuing to celebrate. And welcome back. As you see the crowd starting to thin out here.
What a great crowd, too.
Oh,
wow.
A great crowd. With the exception of those in Victory Lane as they continue to take pictures with the hardware. Late in the race, 3 different drivers had issues with right front tires. One of those being the 44 of Frank Kimmel.
Yeah, what left to your screen there, that yellow number 44 car as Justin Boston goes by.
Kimmel up into the wall. That was late in the race. He had to come to pit road. And let's go to Ray Dunlap, who's with him.
Frank Kimmel was well aware of the streak that he had riding, 36 consecutive top 10s. That breaks today, Frank, and not a very good day in the points. How do you take it here at Toledo?
Well, it's just frustrating. We didn't run really well. Just kind of struggled all day, but we was going to battle up there, and I think we were going to end up with maybe a top 5 out of the deal. It looks like I think I was running 4th, or Kenny was running 4th, and I was running 5th there right at the very end. But then I had a right front blow down, go down. So. We're just really abusing these tires really hard. It's not really a Hoosier issue or anything like that. It's just the way we're setting these cars up. So, kind of a little bit of a frustrating day. We don't like to come to Toledo and not run real well. But we'll get it. They'll figure it out and we'll get going.
20 years ago this weekend, your first win here at Toledo. I got to thinking back and looking at some of those photos. Seems like a long time ago, but somewhat seems like yesterday.
Oh, yeah. We got lots of stories about that, right? Yeah, that's for sure. But, yeah, pretty cool. You think about that first win here, and, I know you were here, and there's a lot of people that still remember that. And what a cool day for me and the Shirley family and, Terry and Susie. They worked so hard to get us where we were at. So it was great to get a win, and it's been nice to do that on the 20th anniversary, but we didn't have nothing for him today. We was going to get a top 5, and that would have been okay.
All right, that's Frank Kimmel, a multi-time winner here at Toledo. Didn't work out this time. Jim Trado.
And a driver making his Toledo debut here in the ARCA Racing Series in just his 3rd start, 18-year-old Cody Coughlin. You could tell by the look of his side of his race car and the rear bumper, it got pretty close quarters at times, but a strong run to 6th. Congratulations on a strong run. Take us through how you're able to battle side by side all those laps and come off with a good finish.
Yeah, track position is king here. I mean, if you don't have it, you're kind of messed up, you know. And so we didn't really have it all day, but we never gave up, and so that shows a bunch about, you know, the team and everybody on it. But if we can just get some track position someday, I think we'll be right over there with our teammate. But yeah, it was a great day, hard-fought battles with a lot of people. It was fun to have some good, clean racing with everybody. I learned a lot as a driver, as you mentioned, just early in my ARCA career here, and so yeah, solid day. Not exactly what we wanted, but lots of positives to take.
Diversity here in the ARCA Racing Series. You ran Mobile. You got a top 10 run at Salem. Talk about what you learned today to put in that memory bank when you come back to Toledo Speedway.
Well, every time I get in one of these things, I learn about tire management more and more and more, and that is just very important in one of these things. And so I just think that, you know, with racing side by side with everybody, like I said, the tire management and just getting more laps, I can apply all that to hopefully a win someday down the road, hopefully very soon. But lots of positives with the Jegs.com Toyota, and I want to thank everybody at Venturini Motorsports for the opportunity, and Joe Gibbs Racing, and really excited about the future.
9 more races this season for the driver we put in the Scott Rookie Spotlight before the race. 6th place finisher Cody Coughlin. Ray?
Austin Wayne Self had a great run at Talladega, and today you come to a short track. Qualifying wasn't great. Started 14th, but finished 8th. So summarize your day.
Yeah, we just kind of struggled all week in trying to get the car to work the way we wanted to. Just couldn't ever get it to rotate at center, and struggled off the corner all weekend. Kind of stayed out of trouble there the whole race. Did what we could to keep our nose clean and make sure we'd be there at the end, and made a bunch of changes, and just trying to team struggle a little bit, but we're really happy with our 8th place finish. It'll be good for points, and the way our day went, that was a good finish for us.
When are we going to see you next?
We're going to see me at New Jersey road course.
All right, good luck, and lots of fans here rooting on that 22 car. Austin Wayne with an 8th place run today at Toledo.
And Ray, you were nice enough to tell them they'd all be on TV. They stood right behind you. But all smiles for that young man. Another 18-year-old in this field is Austin Wayne Self. Kyle Benjamin was 16 years old, and that young man, 24 years old. He got his win 8 years before Frank Kimmel got his first win. Kimmel was 32 when he got his first win in the ARCA Racing Series. Welcome back. While Justin Boston celebrates his first win in the ARCA Racing Series, let's take a look back at how it happened. A few cars had some issues.
Yeah, Tommy Prater hard into the outside while going in turn 3.
Mason Mitchell in the 98 started the day off on pole after winning the pole position in a track record pace. But then on lap 51,
first caution flag. Yep. Mike Buckley, the 28, comes down on John West Townley. John West was in the process of lapping Mike, and around he went and got stuck in the infield grass.
While that happened, the 90 of Enfinger goes by the 98, so he took the lead away from Mason Mitchell. Move forward to lap 76. There's Justin Boston able to get by that 98 of Mason Mitchell, take the lead away.
Great three-way battle for the lead. Grant Enfinger is going to take advantage of that. Bottom being opened up and take over second.
Just past the halfway point. Around goes Thomas Prater into the turn 3 wall. Very hard. Got into the styrofoam blocks as well.
That brought everybody to pit road. You see the 98 of Mason Mitchell blocking in. Justin Boston, Kyle Benjamin, the 17, able to get by, so he would lead on this restart.
So Kyle Benjamin was out in front, but it didn't take long for the 90 of Grant Enfinger to take over that top spot. He goes by Kyle Benjamin, and Enfinger ended up leading 67 laps today.
Had a great battle for the lead late in the race here. Inside of 20 laps to go. Grant Enfinger stayed out on the outside for several laps, and then Justin Boston finally cleared him, and that was the pass for the win.
Grant Enfinger ended up wearing that right front tire out and had to come to pit road late. But in the end, it was the 25 of Justin Boston grabbing his first victory in the ARCA Racing Series, and the celebration has been continuing ever since that checkered flag flew. Take a look at our point standings. A big difference from when we came in to this race earlier today. 80 points was the separation between Enfinger and second place Mason Mitchell. That gap now just 25 points.
Yeah, Mason Mitchell continues to roll up the top 10 finish. We talk about Frank's streak coming to an end. 14 top 10s in a row now for Mason Mitchell, within 25 points of the point lead. John West Townley jumps up another spot up in the top 5. Spencer Gallagher is one of the cars that had a cut tire in the last few laps.
And let's go to the guy who's 6th in points, Spencer Gallagher. He's standing by with Jim Trado.
Came in 5th in points, but more importantly, you learned a ton today at Toledo Speedway. Not one of your kinder racetracks, Spencer. Take us through your day where you ran top 10 all day till that late race issue.
Well, you know, it was a day of extremes, Jim, from our GMS race and Legion Travel Chevrolet. We started off, I think, qualified 11th, started walking right forward towards the beginning part of the race, got up near the top 5, and after that, we kept fighting a tight center issue. So it was pretty tricky to drive, to be honest, throughout the entire race. But, you know, we learned a ton between myself and my crew chief. We're going to take this old girl home back to the shop, slap a new coat of lipstick on her, and bring her back out for more duty.
What was it like when you had that tire issue late? Was there any warning? Was it a couple laps and then something happened to put you in the wall?
It was real frustrating. I'm here to tell you to have a stupid tire cut down with, what was it, 5 to go? But, you know, we managed to find a razor blade or something out there. It wasn't really any warning, kind of got off into 3, and all of a sudden she doesn't really want to do that whole turning thing. Usually helps in the corners, but managed to get it wound up in time, brought it back down so my GMS racing guys could get a new set of rights on her, finish the race out, and like I said, all the shiny bits are still shiny, so I'll take it for what it could have been.
Indeed, not a bad day at all. 13th place finish for Spencer Gallagher, racing again 6th in the standings after today at Toledo.
Did a nice job keeping that car out of the wall when that tire went down. As he mentioned, these. Is that Matt Tift?
Crowd surfing?
That's what it looks
Matt
like.
Tift.
I recognize him from the sunglasses.
The fans, his fans decided to have a little celebration with Matt.
Remember, he's from
3rd place
Hinckley.
finish. Impressive.
Yeah, Hinckley, Ohio. So this is a home game for him.
Yeah, one of the home tracks for one of our drivers. And of course, still all smiles for Justin Boston. Talked to Justin at Talladega, and his goal at Talladega was just to get through it without any bad luck. And it's taken him a race before he was able to have the good luck happen to him. Coming up for the ARCA Racing Series, we heard a few drivers talking about the next race, which is New Jersey Motorsports Park. It kicks off the month of June. Then it's Pocono Raceway, Michigan International Raceway, Elko Speedway, and Winchester Speedway. Quite a few races packed into a very short period of time.
Yeah, it sure is. And the diversity, we talked about a lot about the ARCA Racing Series. Road course in New Jersey, 2.5-mile triangle at Pocono, 2-mile high-speed super speedway in Michigan, and then a couple short tracks, Elko and Winchester.
They do also run on dirt in the ARCA Racing Series, so very diverse series here in stock car racing. The Menards 200, very impressive race today. We had mentioned it early on. We thought it'd be a battle of youth versus experience. From the very start of this race, it was all youth. The youth up front seemed to dominate, if we can call Grant Enfinger youth. Obviously, he's also one of the experienced drivers, but one of the younger ones. But in the end, it was a young man who got his first ever win in Justin Boston.
Yeah, and he raced Mason Mitchell, another teenager who had the pole, and Mason thought he had a car good enough to win. But tremendous job by these young drivers. And we said, remember, Chris Buescher won 4 out of 5 in a row. So it certainly wasn't unprecedented, and they did it today.
80-time winner Frank Kimmel, one of the favorites coming into this race, but Kimmel never able to break up into the top 5 in this one.
We saw so much good side-by-side racing in this race, and there's first caution flag right there. Mike Buckley around. Kyle Benjamin, the 17, up underneath Josh Williams in the 6 car.
Crowded pit road, as Ray Dunlap had mentioned early on in this one. It was going to play a role in this one, and it ended up playing a role. Justin Boston, though, was victorious when it all came down to the checkered flag flying, getting his first ever win. Thanks for joining us here on Fox Sports 1. Congratulations, Justin.